Hey guys, it's Raul again, bringing to you today my June wrap-up. I know it's a couple of days late, but it's only July 2nd, and I just posted a video a couple of days ago, so I kind of wanted to give myself a little break between that video and this one, but I still have time to do my June wrap-up, so let's get started. In the month of June, I read 4 books. Some great, some not so great, but I'll kind of let you know my thoughts and feels on those. The first book that I read in the month of June was City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. This book is the 6th and final book in the Mortal Instruments series. For those of you guys who don't know about the Mortal Instruments series, it's kind of about a group of kids, I guess, and there's some adults in there too, called the Shadowhunters. They are half human, half angel, and they kind of hunt demons and kind of keep the peace between the shadow world, which consists of vampires, werewolves, fairies, warlocks, that kind of thing. A lot of supernatural creatures and things. So that's kind of the synopsis of who the Shadowhunters are and what kind of they do, what things that they do. This book was absolutely awesome. I loved it. I could not put this thing down. Thankfully, I had a week off at the beginning of June that I was able to really just sit down and read this thing, because this book is huge. It's like 725 pages long. So I devoured this book. Absolutely loved it. It was a great ending to an already awesome series. It didn't start off great, but I think by book 5, that's kind of, for me at least, when this series actually became something epic. And this was definitely epic. By the end of this book, I was just completely blown away by the story. Yeah, it dragged maybe in some small parts, but at least 95% of this book was just quick, fast-paced, very action-packed, and I absolutely loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The second book that I read for the month of June was Paper Towns by John Green. This book was also very, very awesome. I loved it. This is actually the second book that I've read from John Green, the first book being A Fault in Our Stars. I watched the movie before I read the book. And for this one, I kind of wanted to read the book before the movie comes out, because the movie comes out in a couple of weeks. So I'm very excited about that one. This book is about a boy named Q who has kind of been in love with his next door neighbor named Margot. One day Margot kind of jumps in through his window and just kind of invites him to go on this adventure with her, this one night thing that she has to do, all of these tasks and that she's got to complete, and invites Q to go with her. The thing is that after that super special awesome night that they had, which was great, Margot kind of disappears and leaves some clues to have Q kind of find where she is. So he kind of sets off on this big adventure with his friends and one of Margot's friends to kind of find what these clues mean and find where Margot is. I absolutely loved it. It was a great adventure, great character development. It was hilarious too. I laughed out loud in so many parts by the end of this book. And the ending was pretty satisfying. I know some people kind of didn't like the ending or how it went, but I kind of really liked it. I liked how it ended, and I'm very excited for the movie. And John Green has definitely become one of my favorite young adult contemporary authors because of this book, because this book was just so great. And I also gave this book 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The next book that I read for the month of June was The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. This book is basically kind of like a retelling of Sleeping Beauty. It's about a horned boy who lives in the middle of the forest and is in this glass case and has kind of been sleeping in this glass case for however many years, and kind of the people around him don't really know how long he's been there or how he got there. They just know that he's kind of always been in this glass case inside this forest. The town of Fairfold, which is the main place that this takes place in, kind of has gotten used to, or has grown used to having this kid kind of around, and kids go out there into the forest and kind of have parties around this kid, because it's just like the thing. Like, Fairfold is known for having this kid with horns inside the glass case. I was very, very excited to go into this book initially. but I didn't really enjoy it. I don't know, there was something about the story, it felt a little rushed, it was a little muddled, the characters were a little dull. I don't know, I didn't really hear a lot about this book from other booktubers on YouTube before I got it. I basically just got it because of the synopsis, like I told you guys. Kind of felt like a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, and then this awesome cover. I mean, the cover is beautiful, and it's short. So my wife actually got me this for our anniversary a couple of weeks ago, and I was really excited. Like I said, going into this book initially, but I just didn't really enjoy it. Like I didn't feel like it was going anywhere. I felt like it started off in one direction and kind of headed into another, as if like Holly Black, the author, didn't really know where she was going when she started the book, and then kind of like changed her mind halfway through and then started off on this other thing. So it didn't really, I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy it. It didn't really grasp my attention as well. Like I felt like I was pushing myself to really finish this book. Thankfully it's not a series, it's a standalone. I don't know, maybe if it would have been longer, or if she would have been able to develop the characters a little bit more, or make me care for the characters. Like honestly, everyone could have died at the end of this book and I wouldn't have cared. That's just how I didn't care about it, how much I didn't care about it. So I don't know, I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And the last book that I read for the month of June was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This book totally made up for the horribleness that was The Darkest Part of the Forest, because this book was awesome. This is part of a trilogy. For those of you guys who don't know, this takes place, or it revolves around this girl named Alina, who works for the army, I guess, like some sort of military army. She's like a map maker, so she makes the maps while they're out on like these voyages and stuff. And they are on a journey to cross something called the Fold, which is like this big darkness that's in the middle of their country, and they are on one side and they're crossing this fold with, you know, everybody else in the army to get to the other side to kind of get supplies and come back. Well, while they're in the middle of this fold, they get attacked by these creatures that are inside of this darkness, and Alina finds out that she has a special power that was able to kind of save them from these creatures that are in there. These people with powers are known in this world as Grisha. And the Grisha are kind of like the elites and the popular people, the big people that, you know, have the powers, that live in the castles and, you know, have the advantage over everybody else, kind of. They, as children, are supposed to get tested when they're children to see if they have these abilities. And when Alina got tested when she was younger, they didn't find that she was special, that didn't have any powers. So they're confused as to why so many years later she develops these powers, because they're normally not developed. You know, they normally are developed when they're children, during their childhood. So it was very interesting for them, at least the Grisha, to kind of see why she kind of developed these powers and why she developed these things. So then she's taken to this castle where the Darkling, the kind of main bad guy or villain, is there and kind of takes them under her wing and is trying to teach her how to be a Grisha, how to control her power and that kind of thing. So it kind of takes off into something really, really good. I'm currently reading the second book in this series and I'm absolutely loving it. This is a great series. The writing is really good. The world building is really good. The character development is really good. And it's pretty short. Like, the font is a little bit bigger, and it's only about, like, 350 pages or so. So I got through this one fairly quickly, and I really enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it. And I gave this one, I believe, a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It wasn't perfect. It's not, you know, a perfect book, but it was I enjoyed it a lot. It was very memorable. And I'm excited to kind of find out what else is going to go on in this series, because I love that. So yeah, guys, that was it for my June wrap-up. Those are the books that I read this month. Let me know in the comments below what books you guys read for June, what books you guys are going to read now in July, if you guys have read any of the books that I've read, and if you guys kind of thought differently to my opinions on these things, because maybe I just didn't read it the way it was supposed to, maybe, some of these books. I don't know. But just let me know in the comments below what you think about these books if you did read it. And I will see you guys next time.